So let's just continue the reading, page 225, the Ten Bodhisattva Grounds. Number E, the Bodhisattva knowledge of the Tathagatas bodies. He knows with respect to the bodies of the Tathagatas their possession of. Bodies associated with vows, transformationally produced bodies sustained through their powers, bodies graced with the major marks and subject signs, bodies possessed with awe-inspiring strength, mind-generated bodies, merit bodies, and the Dharma body, and the knowledge body. The Bodhisattva's knowledge of the knowledge body, he knows with respect to the knowledge body, if the characteristics of skillful deliberation, its characteristics of selected judgment accordant with reality, its characteristics associated with the practice leading to the fruits of the path, its characteristics associated with distinctions between what is worldly and what is world transcendent, its characteristics associated with distinctions in the three vehicles, its characteristics when shared, its characteristics when exclusive, its characteristics when associated with emancipation, its characteristics when associated with an emancipated state, its characteristics when associated with the stages of the learner, and its characteristics when associated with the stages of those beyond learning. The Bodhisattva's knowledge of the Dharma body. He knows with respect to the Dharma body its characteristics of uniform equality and its characteristics of indestructibility. He knows the characteristics associated with differentiation in conventional names when adapted to the times and when adapted to mundane circumstances. Knows the characteristics distinction in the Dharmas associated with beings as opposed to those associated with non-beings, and knows the characteristics distinctions in the Dharma associated with the Buddhas, the Dharma, and the Arya Sangha. The Bodhisattva's knowledge of the empty space body. He knows with respect to the empty space body its characteristics of immeasurability, its characteristics of universal pervasion, its characteristics of formless, its characteristics of non-differentiation, its characteristics of boundlessness, and its characteristics of revealing the existence of form bodies. The Bodhisattva's acquisition of 10 kinds of serene mastery. Sons of the Buddha having completely developed such knowledge with respect to the body as this Bodhisattva requires supreme master in lifespan, supreme master of mind, supreme master in wealth, supreme master in karmic deeds, supreme master in births, supreme master in vows, supreme master in resolute faith, supreme master in psychic powers, supreme master in knowledge, supreme master of any Dharma. Due to having acquired these 10 types of Supreme Master, he then becomes one whose knowledge is inconceivable, one whose knowledge is measureless, one whose knowledge is vast, and one whose knowledge is invincible. 10 characteristics aspects in 8th ground Bodhisattva. Having achieved just such great comprehension as this, and having achieved just such consummate realization as this, he thus becomes one who is absolutely free of fault in physical karmic actions, free of fault in verbal deeds, and free of fault in mental deeds. One in whom our physical, verbal, and mental karmic acts are carried forth in accordance with knowledge. One in whom the Prajnaparamita is dominant. One in whom the great compassion has become the foremost priority. One who is expedient, means are skillful. One who is well able to make distinctions. One who is excellent in bringing forth great vows. One who is protected by the power of the Buddha. One who always diligently cultivates knowledge direct toward beneficent beings. And one who dwells everywhere throughout the boundless and many different worlds. Sons of Buddha, to state these in terms of the most essential point, the Bodhisattva dwelling on this ground of immovability is able to gather all dharmas of the Buddhas in and all that he does through these physical, verbal, and mental deeds. 10 types of power in which this Bodhisattva is well established. Sons of Buddha, the Bodhisattva is dwelling on this ground, becomes well established in the power of resolute intentions, because none of the afflictions function in him. Become well established in the power of the Supreme Mind through never departing from the path. Becomes well established in the power of the great compassion through never relinquishing his benefiting of beings. Becomes well established in the power of the great kindness through striving to rescue and protect everyone abiding outwards. Becomes well established in the power of the Dharmas through never forgetting any Dharma. Becomes well established in the power of eloquence through skillfully contemplating distinction of Dharmas. Becomes well established in the power of spiritual knowledge through going forth everywhere throughout the boundless in many words. Becomes well established in the power of the great vows through never relinquishing any of the Bodhisattva endeavors. Becomes well established in the power of the Prajnamitans through perfecting of dharmas of the Buddhas, and acquires the powers of being protected and born in mind by the Tathagatas through his being directed toward the knowledge of all modes and the cognition of all knowledge. The Bodhisattvas have acquired such powers of knowledge as theirs is able to manifest all endeavors that are to be accomplished while they remaining free of fault in all those endeavors. The 10 names of this 8th Bodhisattva ground, Sons of Buddha, this Bodhisattva ground of knowledge, is known as the ground of immovability because no one is able to obstruct or overcome him. Is known as irreversibility, because his wisdom never retreats. Is known as the ground that is difficult to acquire, because no one in the world is able to fathom it. Is known as the ground of pure youth, because he has abandoned all faults. Is known as the ground of birth, because he possesses sovereign mastery in doing whatever he pleases. Is known as the ground of compassion, because there is nothing more to be done. Is known as the ultimate ground, because his wisdom has become resolute, decisive. Is known as the ground of transformation, because he has achieved a complete success in whatever he wishes to do. Is known as the ground of sustenance through power, because others are unable to move him. And is known as the ground of effortlessness, because earlier on he has already achieved complete development. So that's it. Page 229, Ten Bodhisattva Grounds.